Our Coors Light pole winner for tomorrow night's 58th annual Capital City 400, presented by Virginia's for Lovers, here at Richmond International Raceway, is Mark Martin, and he drives the number 55 Aaron's Dream Machine Toyota for Michael Waltrip Racing. It's his 53rd career NASCAR Sprint Cup Series pole, and second pole this season. He won previously at Phoenix. Mark, you said this one is just as sweet as the first one you got here. How many years ago did you say?
31 years ago.
31
I brought my
years.
little short track car. It was my 4th Cup race, and it was a pretty big deal sitting on a pole with my little late model team. But as far as I'm concerned, this is just as big a deal. It's pretty cool. I can't believe that I have the opportunity to drive this car and work with this team. I'm really lucky.
Questions now from Mark Martin. If you have one, raise your hand. And we'll come around over here. Claire B. Lang has one. And then we'll go to Bob. Kim?
Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. Really quick question, and that is, you keep saying you're lucky. We hear this all the time from you. How about just saying you were talented pulling it off today? Won't you ever say that?
Well, I drive a really, really fast race car, and that makes all the difference. I can't do it, without the race car. That makes me lucky, because I could have a slow race car, and if I did, I wouldn't be on the pole. But thank you, Claire. I still think I'm lucky. Not many guys are living, not many 53-year-old race car drivers are living the dream.
Bob?
Sporting news. When you won that pole, I think it was a half-mile track back then. Have you always been fast here, no matter whether it's half-mile, three-quarter mile? And what do you remember? How much do you remember about that day 31 years ago?
I can tell you the springs that were in the car, the weight distribution that was in the car, and I can tell you what I did to the car after qualifying. I moved all the lead out of the left rear into the right front because I had figured out that it gave up real bad. You don't want to go there. I can tell you everything about it. I can tell you everything. Changed the right rear spring before qualifying after practice to tighten it up a little bit more. I couldn't tell you anything about this car today, but yeah, that car was my baby. And I remember a lot about that. I remember most of my setups and most of the stuff that I did to those cars, back then. It's sort of photographic memory, but that certainly has gone away more of late. I've been fortunate, Bob, to drive fast race cars. I didn't feel like this was one of my strongest racetracks, but Rodney informed me when I came into the trailer this morning, based on my record, that I must really like this place. So when he said that, I says, okay, I do, I know we did get a win here in 1990 on the new configuration, and that was when it was after I got home that I got the call about the carburetor spacer, which wound up costing us the amount of points that shortened us on the championship that year. So I've had a lot of good runs here, but I want to say this right now. This wouldn't be possible if it weren't for the incredible teamwork that Martin Truex Jr. Has put into this thing for Clint and I, and Clint's contribution as well. And this is just a culmination of incredible teamwork and great people that are really excited and doing an awful lot right now at MWR.
Kim, did you have a question? Get her the mic, and then we'll come to the press box next.
Hi, Mark. Kim Robertson, Insider Racing News. This is the third pole for MWR in 7-8 races now. How does that make? I mean, this team seems to now be, mentioned above Joe Gibbs Racing in the Toyota camp. How much does that help your performance? How much support morally does it give everybody? Even though you're running a part-time schedule, it seems like you're now the ones with the bullet almost. You head
Well-
out there and you're dangerous.
Well, first of all, whatever fallacy that goes along with part-time schedules, I just can't quite get my arms wrapped around how that is viewed as less than optimum. I mean, when we go out on the racetrack, it's today, and that's all it is. It's not about 38 races or 36 races or whatever. It's about today. And my team is behind me 100%. So that part of it is really, really good. The morale is fantastic there. And, I have to give Martin Truex Jr. a lot of credit for what I'm driving, because he's been there and helped them develop it along the way. The morale is fantastic there right now. And, in racing, if you're lucky, you don't stay on the bottom all the time, but you never stay on the top either. So it's cool to be as strong as we are and to be contenders to win, and having, one of my goals for 2012 is to have 2 cars, MWR cars, in the chase. And I am as dedicated as anyone could be to those 2 cars scoring points, and to my team and Aaron's to get performance and hopefully win a race.
Let's go to the press box, and then we'll come back downstairs to Dave. Go ahead, press box.
Hi, Mark. Tom Jensen from Speed.com. Congratulations on the pole.
Thanks, Tom.
You mentioned Nashville 31 years ago. I did some checking. You realize you won that pole before 11 of the guys in tomorrow's race were even born? You ever reflect on
Yeah, the
stuff
first
like
pole
that?
the first pole came at Nashville, and then my second pole came here. The first pole came in my second race, and this was my 4th race that I ran. Yeah, that's some interesting stats you got there, Tom. I can't believe that I'm getting to do this. Michael Waltrip and Ty Norris, they put themselves out there on a limb pretty good to to put me in this race car at this stage of my career. But I'm dedicated to the organization, and whether regardless of my performance on the racetrack, in my heart, I really want to make MWR better. And that's what is more important to me than anything, is for them to feel like that they were glad that they are glad to have me in the organization. And that's paramount to me.
Go ahead, press box.
Reed Spencer with NASCAR Wire Service. Mark, with the conventional wisdom being that late draw here is best, you were the only guy in that last group who really went out and in relative terms matched what you did in practice. Can you explain that?
No. Just blind stupidity. Rodney didn't tell me that he was concerned that the last bunch of cars that had been out had not picked up, what he had hoped for. And I did not ask Rodney what he put under the car. We made some improvements in the car in happy hour, in race setup, right at the end. And if it would have been me, I probably would have incorporated those changes into the qualifying setup. And I didn't want to ask Rodney if he did or not, or what he did to the car. All I wanted to do is roll out on the racetrack with no preconceived notion and drive it as fast as it'd go and rely on him and his judgment. And so, I just went out there and drove as fast as I was really hoping that he would call me on the first lap and tell me that, shut it down. I told him to tell me to shut it down if we happened to get the pole on the first lap. And when he didn't, I was afraid, oh, no, we're 15th fastest. That wasn't near fast enough, and I got to really get up on the wheel. And I know you guys don't believe this, but I was very close to skinning the car up, especially off of 4 the second lap, and that was my concern. It was my concern in practice as well. Both of the qualifying runs that I made in practice, I almost skinned it up too. So I'm driving as hard as I can go, and at the very limit of my talent for sure. And if I keep pushing the limits, I'm going to run out of talent here one of these days.
Anything else in the press box?
No, all clear.
Back downstairs here, Dave. You have a question, Dave Rodman?
Yeah, Mark. Dave Rodman with NASCAR.com. I know it's two different circumstances, but can you compare the way you felt in that first year with Hendrick, on a week-to-week basis coming to the racetrack, and how it compares? You did some spectacular things that year, but also this year, you're kind of approximating that.
Yeah, I have said that I'm feeling some of that magic. That was really magic. 2009 was a magical year. You just can't. I don't care how good you run, you can't win 5 races, hardly any way, shape, or form. And we just kept knocking them out. And you can run that good and not win any races all year. The car was fast. Every time we rolled off the truck, we'd go to the top of the board. It just was magical. And that's a lot of what I'm feeling this year as well. Just because we haven't rattled off a win doesn't mean that we haven't been really strong in the races. We just haven't been in first place or haven't quite. The cars are really fast. I'm still getting acquainted with the cars. Are a little different than what I've driven before, the way they drive, and we've improved their longevity. In other words, your cars were pretty fast and giving up, backing up some. The tires or beating the tires up a little bit too much, and we improved on that a ton in Texas, and in Kansas we seem to hold on pretty well. So between Rodney and I, what I like, and me being able to help him figure out how to make the cars stay longer for 400 or 500 laps or miles, this is important to try to get these wins. And I feel like we've made improvement in that, and I think that's kind of shown in the 56's runs as well, and we're gaining on that.